Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rundown. I am your host, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the left coast. I'm actually not in the state of California today, but definitely still behind the Sierras, the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. But as we always say, I do not do this program on my own.
No, you don't. I have the honor of sitting on the East Coast today, on your I guess that'd be your right hand if we're looking north on the map. I am your co-host. I am back in location Bravo. My name is Mike Piwowarski.
Mikey, so how was the time away?
The time away was brief, needed, and rewarding. So well, I guess we could just kind of say that, right? I mean, it was nice. It was good times. Good times. Good times.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad you had a phenomenal time. Today will be my last day coming from an undisclosed location.
And
But once again, very much.
tomorrow, I was gonna say tomorrow we'll do the reveal day where we were and see who comes closest to the pin kind of stuff. Maybe
Tomorrow we will do the reveal. So good luck to y'all. I hope y'all can guess where we wound up. But it's just kind of funny though that we both wound up going on vacation at the same time.
And folks, no matter what the backgrounds look like, we are in separate locations. Okay, we
Most
don't vacation
definitely.
together too.
No, we
we
did not vacation together.
we travel together for work, but vacations those are separate.
Yes, most definitely. It's the only way my wife would have it.
That's exactly what she told me to.
All right, well, hey, let's get on over to the news. Big news, big things happening. For those of you who have not been following, Bill Cosby, his case has been overturned. Now, admittedly, it was overturned on a technicality. Yeah, it was overturned on a technicality, but Bill Cosby was kind of the first pin to fall in the whole Me Too movement. It's kind of interesting now that his case basically has been thrown out, and Bill Cosby, the Puddin' Man, is a free man.
Yeah, Craig, and I hate to say stuff like thrown out of technicality. There's a couple different reasons cases can be thrown out. One are factual errors, and this one was a procedural error. And there was clearly an error that occurred. The previous district attorney there in Philadelphia made the deal with Mr. Cosby and his legal team that he would give information to them in a civil suit, which we all know does not have any behind bars time associated with civil suits. So, and it's a much lower standard of proof also in a civil case. So he gave them information. Well, the new district attorney came in, went back on that agreement, and that's how they were able to prosecute Bill Cosby there with that information that had previously they'd had the agreement that that would not be used. He had basically immunity to give that information. And again, that was in a civil case, not in a criminal case. Do not sure that anybody would have given self-incriminating information if they knew that the people that could put you behind bars would change their mind later. Craig, listen, you said the other day that you don't believe in conspiracy theories, but you're a conspiracy connoisseur. I am curious to see what you have heard on Mr. Cosby because I have definitely heard some, and I have a little bit of belief in some of them. But I want to hear your opinion first.
Honestly, I haven't really heard anything. I'm surmising, and I'm wondering what of the information that he gave was it specific to this case, or was it incriminating? Because what part of the issue that they had was that they allowed uh, other women to testify as to his behavior and things that he had done. And I'm wondering if it had something to do with the incidents with them or with this specific incident for which he was being charged.
Now, I
Because
mean, I got back through the entire transcript. I briefly looked at the release order. It's my understanding. And again, folks could be completely wrong on this. It was one of those I read in a waiting room waiting to get on the airplane. This was that he did the civil case against with involving the one woman from 2004, but
mhm,
during that civil deposition, the names of these other alleged victims came out, and it was
okay,
once those names came out, now they're in discovery for when they open up the new criminal case. So that
okay,
information would not have been in there before if
mhm,
they had kept their agreements with him.
right. Well, I don't know. You know, the funny part is that the legal system. There's so much that is in the legal system that, in my opinion, quite frankly, has nothing to do with the law,
Right.
and is so highly technical that it is amazing that justice has ever done.
Well, yeah, and I agree. I mean, it's overly burdensome at times, but without procedure, you've
Right.
got we're dragging people out to the street and hanging them up by a rope. Um, without delay and without judgment. So I understand the need for procedure. Is there absolutely too much? Sure, there is. Where do I define what's too much and what's not too much?
Hmm.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I know dragging him out in the street the moment we think he's guilty is too quick. Um,
Right.
but waiting, 18 years for somebody on appeal is too slow.
Right.
So
Well, exactly.
somewhere.
Now, Mikey, you dropped a little tidbit, and as I said, as I've told you, I am a conspiracy connoisseur. So yes, you do need to share a little bit of your the conspiracy
Okay,
gossip that you got
sure.
out there.
Remember, these incidents first came to light after Bill Cosby had been. Greg, you can tell me if you've heard this portion of this. Mr. Cosby was one of the very few, I'll call them elder black statesmen in the United States that was speaking out against President Obama at the time, because this occurred during the beginning of President Obama's second term, when he would go on national news, he would go on the radio, and he would clearly say the issues. And folks, remember how Obama went in and stirred up racial, disharmony, for a lack of better words. He just kept kind of stir the pot. Bill Cosby kept coming on and saying if this was the parents, they needed to raise these children better, as opposed to Obama blaming white people. You're familiar with that part of it, Craig?
I'm very familiar with that part of it. And yes, he was one of the few people who was actually talking about individual responsibility as opposed to the woke. It's the white man, blame the white man thing that the rest of the rest of, well, I won't say the rest of the black community, but many of the other leaders in entertainment and politics were doing on the left.
The second portion of this conspiracy theory was a little no-name comedian that started dropping Bill Cosby's name in his act. A young black comedian started dropping Bill Cosby's name in his act as a rapist. This guy went from virtually unknown to winning a media-controlled best comedy performer by slamming Bill Cosby, which again got him more attention. There's links there between the ownership of that media outlet and those that were against Bill Cosby, and that was when Hannibal Buress, the comedian, won the competition there and used Bill Cosby as his rapist pun, or the butt of his jokes. And that's when this all started to gain steam, right after Bill Cosby started to stand up against Barack Obama.
Well, yeah, the problem is that whenever you challenge the narrative, and this just goes back to the whole, when we talk about wanting to have a serious conversation, unfortunately, the problem is that no, we don't want to have a serious conversation. What it
Right.
is you have many in the black community who want to, they want to tell the Republicans, they want to tell the white folks, they want to tell everybody else what they need to do and how they need to change.
Yeah.
But nobody really wants to have a public conversation about what it is that we need to do. And the challenge is, and this is what I will always say, the challenge is is that I can't control everybody else. All I can control is me. You tell me what I need to do, what I need to improve. Teach me how to be better, and I can overcome whatever circumstances you put me in. But that's empowering. And the problem is you have these leaders who don't want to actually empower people. They don't want people empowered. They want them dependent on the government. They want them dependent on them to go to the government and get the stuff they want and they need. And that's how. So their goal is not empowering the people. Their interest is in empowering themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. You're correct, as usually are here. I think that, and just touching back to conspiracy theory, don't know if it's true or not. There's facts there that are put together that make this very, very coincidental when it comes to the timeline of when this occurred. Did those facts occur with Bill Cosby and those women 30, 40 years ago? I don't know. Don't know. Wasn't there. I will tell you, Craig, we're not nearly as old as Mr. Cosby is, but 30, 40 years ago, 60s, 70s, even into the 80s, It was a different time. Now, I'm not condoning at all ever going out and drugging a woman or doing anything like that. I'm just saying it was a different time, and I don't know that I understand it or would agree with anything that happened back then. But I don't know the facts of this case either.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder if this was an overcorrect. Once again, I don't, like you said, I don't know the facts of the case, but you always have to be careful whenever you have these movements. In this case, it was the Me Too movement. You have to be very careful that, for a long time, many of these allegations that are out there against very powerful people
Yeah.
went ignored.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you have to be concerned that when the pendulum swings back the other way, how many people wind up falsely accused, falsely claimed, falsely convicted, and how many people out there and this was the worst part. There were some of the accusations that I saw out there that I was like, people were upset over little stupid things. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm just going to say this. If you are working with somebody and you ask them out on a date or you tell them that they look nice and now all of a sudden you get Me Too'd, and there were some people, some of the accusations that were out there were that. Then there were some accusations that were out there that I was like, who the heck would say that? Who would do that? You just wonder what world were these people operating in, that these guys, that they thought that was okay.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We've all heard the inferences to the famous casting couches and everything along those lines. It just where's the line between forced and willing participant?
Right.
That's always been the issue for me with the Me Too movement. We saw a lot come out and say, well, he made me do this. Made you, or you decided you wanted to be a millionaire and that was the deal you were willing to cut?
Right. Well, I'm a big believer in, especially when it comes to stuff. It's like, that's the sort of stuff that I think, first of all, you keep that out of the work environment. And this
Yes.
is my attitude.
Yeah.
Do you keep it?
Agreed.
Because that way you don't worry about crossing any lines. But
Agreed.
But
Yeah.
what gets me is the okay, you and I are telling a joke and so walks by and hears the joke. Now all of a sudden, whoever told the joke, well, me for telling the joke and you for listening to the joke are now under charges at work and threatened with losing our jobs over something that, offended them.
Yeah, and listen. Let's be clear too. I'm not talking about you and I telling a racist, homophobic jokes or anything like that. Let's say I was telling you a simple Polish joke, and we know that the Polish get to be the puns of jokes, but there's never any inference for it. Polish people didn't have to hear how dumb they were and be slaves for 400 years either. Okay, there's a difference between telling
No, I
one
get it.
joke
Yeah.
and telling another.
Well, but yeah, there's the problem is that the measurement isn't based on objective standards.
Right.
It's all subjective based on who is offended. And that's always going to be the problem because you never really know,
Yeah.
especially when if there are times that people participate in the jokes.
Sure.
They're participating in the joke and now all of a sudden they want to get offended at it.
Right, and that's what always got me when we started doing, because I've been a human diversity instructor. I know that's a reach for a lot of you to believe there, but a human and diversity instructor for a very long time. The part that always got me is, just like you said, Craig, you and I could be off and alone having a conversation. Somebody else independent could walk past and be offended. Not that they were offended in the joke, but they're offended that because we told something that somebody else might see as offensive, so they can report it as offensive even though no one was offended.
Exactly. You just kind of hit the nail right on the head.
Yeah.
Folks, it's a joke. It's a joke. And by the way, speaking of jokes, I have another one for you. There is now, both in the mainstream media and in Democratic circles, there is a rumor out there, or things that are pushing these talking points that are being pushed, that Republicans are in fact the ones who were pushing to defund the police. Have you heard any of this?
Listen, you knew this was going to happen, right? You knew that we were going to find a way to make this spin back around and come back against us. We all know that it's from the past 2-3 years with the defund the police movement. We have to get police out of there. Police are the problem. We have to have social justice warriors out there, or whatever the hell it is. We're going to be a social justicing the streets because we're not going to be policing them anymore. Well, now as part of the infrastructure plan, is that where I think this money's coming from? Because the Republicans are fighting with us, and some of the money goes back towards funding infrastructure and police departments. Now, all of a sudden, Republicans are for defunding the police, according to the Democrats that are trying to push this bill forward.
Right. It's. I love the way Ted Cruz put it. He basically said that claiming the Dems claim that the GOP wanted to defund the police was like OJ saying he'll find the real killer. but that's it. It is trying to understand how they get away with this. And let me clarify. It's not hard to understand when you listen to whatever the talking heads on the left, on the CNNs, on the MSNBCs, on the the Mother Jones and the Huffington Post, whenever you listen to whatever they say, and it really doesn't matter if they contradict themselves at all. When you listen to what they say and you get those talking points, you just believe them. It reminds me, I was listening to someone on a radio show before we came on, and they were talking about, I just had to come to accept the fact that many on the left they're not real players in this game. They're not real people. They're more like non-player characters in video games. And they are whatever they're programmed, and they say whatever they're programmed to say. And you just have to understand that they really don't have a mind of their own. You're just standing there, Mike. Are you going to say anything?
I lost you twice there for a couple of minutes, Craig. You froze on my end, so I apologize.
Oh no, I think you were frozen there for a second. But did you hear what I said?
Everything after "my name's Craig DeLuz, welcome to the program," I lost you.
Anyway,
no, I lost like the last 30 seconds. I apologize.
I was just saying that I've just had to accept the fact that the left is they're going to accept whatever is told to them, whatever programming is the programming of the day. Whatever the terms are, the verbiage, or whatever the talking point is for the day, they're going to believe it. And they're more like non-player characters in video games than actual real players and people who are engaging in the process.
Yeah, good analysis. Yeah. That's about as true as I've heard today. Yeah, but so just don't go out, Craig. Just don't go out and defund the police. Make sure all your conservative friends also know not to defund the police by avoiding excess waste and pork barrel spending. So,
well, that's the thing. When you start talking about cutting government, the problem is you start talking about reducing government waste, and their attitude is, well, that waste is the police. That's the Democrats' attitude.
Right. Yeah. So, but now it's our turn, right? We're defunding them. It's just absolutely ridiculous the way these people are. All right, Craig. Speaking of ridiculous, let's jump into the next topic. Let's roll into Chief Ridiculous Officer himself, David Waco Chipman here.
Mr. Chipman. So, Mr. Chipman, matter of fact, you probably know a little bit more about this story than I do. So, why don't you go ahead and share a little bit about it, and then we'll get into it.
Listen, I don't have the exact quote here. I don't know if you want to look up the quote while I'm giving the gist of the story. He was, I believe this is back in 05, 06, 07, somewhere in that time frame. He was one of the senior agents in Detroit. And while there, he was, there had been a promotional exam, and I guess he had looked around the room or seen all the names on the papers, and he was talking to somebody else and asked, he said, "Wow, I see a lot of African Americans had passed this test. I guess they must have all been cheating."
Yep, that's pretty much it. They must have been cheating. That's pretty much the exact quote as I'm reading it right here. He basically just said, "Yeah, there's a lot of black agents. They must have been cheating." But this is the guy who, once again, is going to lead is supposed to lead the ATF in the wokest administration ever.
Yeah.
I don't see how you allow someone to head your ATF who has this sort of who has publicly said something like this.
Yeah. Again, this was verified by other ATF officials. I guess it was reported, and his ATF bosses said, "Yeah, we don't think we believe it, so we're not going to punish him over it." Not that they went out and found that it didn't occur. That just that they didn't find enough information that it did occur. And there is a difference, right? It's like your difference between innocent and not guilty, right? So that's what they've got going on here, and that was back in a day, and back in an era where that kind of stuff was not seen as it is now today. Look, we talked about Bill Cosby, where let's say he gave alcohol and drugs to women in order to have sex with them. Not that that was even okay back then, but definitely not okay now. Well, the same thing with David Chipman. If he's making offhanded racist remarks 15, 16 years ago, maybe it could have slid. But today, absolutely not. You know, we just we all know that we don't play that game anymore. And the ATF has had their history of supervisors being accused of being a racist. We've seen that even more recently out of California out there, Craig, with some of the supervisors. Again, not that the allegations were true, but enough to maybe you want to take notice to, do I really want to put somebody that may have said these horrible racist comments in charge of my agency when we already have a history of bad racist comments in our agency?
Well, you have to know that if this is something that exists, that it's eventually going to come out.
Yeah, it will. And it's just a matter of, will the Democrats turn a blind eye and allow him to be confirmed and not care? Because they want to see their guy in there more than they want to see us not have the guy in there that we don't like.
Well, exactly. And ultimately, the question is it about the wokeness, or is it about offending gun owners and taking away the rights of gun owners? Which is a greater priority to them? It does, because honestly, I think no matter who is going to be there, it's not going to change the overall goals of what it is that they want to do. I just think that, personally, the guy offends me. And I think that I think that if there's one person who I don't want there, it's him.
Yeah, exactly right. And if that means we got to rotate other federal officials through there in acting positions, it's a lot better in my case, in my understanding and my beliefs, that we have that temporary person in there than having this guy we know how he feels.
Well, it's not supposed to be a
tear apart the American gun owner and now minorities, evidently.
Well, I get that it's a political appointment, but it's not supposed to be a political position. This is a law enforcement position. And this is a guy who's demonstrated, if he doesn't believe in the Constitution, how can he actually enforce the law?
Well, isn't that the issue we always come down here, Craig? We have people that believe in the Constitution and people that believe that the Constitution's a hindrance. And he's on that hindrance side.
Exactamundo. Well, and we all know he's not the only one in this particular administration. We would not be the only one in this administration who's not a big fan of law, order, Constitution, and treating people right. And I say that because there's an interesting story now coming out of the vice president's office. Well, about the fact that Kamala Harris, she seems to be, her and her staff seem to be a little hard to deal with. A lot of dissent and anger and rancor coming out of the vice president's office, which, by the way, I can tell you is not very different than some of the stuff you heard coming out of the AG's office when she was the attorney general here in the state of California.
Yeah, the one thing that seems to be consistent is that she can't keep a staff no matter where she goes. No matter what her job is, she cannot consistently keep a staff. People bail on her. People get mad at her. People can't deal with her. She's insulting. She rapidly changes her mind. She demeans people. She does things that are unreasonable and requests unreasonable things of people. And that seems to be the trend with all of her offices that she's held, that the staff seems to respond the same way.
Oh yeah, she tends to be more interested in how things look than how things are. She's more interested in being right than doing right, and she definitely thinks of herself as better than the people that she works with, or quite frankly, the people that she's supposed to be working for.
Yeah,
she definitely considers herself to be better than, and tends to hire staff who makes sure that that is so, that she is treated as such. And I don't know, man. Once again, I get that some people are just tough bosses, but once again, this is, in my opinion, I think when you see her interviews and the things that she does, I think that attitude leaks out leaps and bounds. And I just honestly think there's a reason why she wound up having to drop out of the presidential race before a single vote was cast, because quite frankly, nobody liked her and nobody wanted her to be president. She was going to lose her own state of California
Yeah.
if she had actually run, which shows how poorly she is thought of, even here in the state of California.
Well, I remember the disrespect she showed to then Vice President Mike Pence during their debates.
Right.
Remember that? Remember how, or during the debates where it was when she was still running for president, where if somebody, God forbid, had a half moment of overtalk with her, it was the snide talking down to, I'm talking now. I'm talking now.
Mansplaining was the term she liked to use.
What are we in the second grade here? I'm talking now. You listen to me. Yeah, you know what? I get about as much use as I do for you as the mud stain on my carpet.
Right. Well, the interesting thing about her is keep in mind, this is the person who called Joe Biden a racist and then decided to be on his ticket.
Right. Now Joe loves her. She's great. Yeah. She's wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah. She's got no problem throwing that race thing down. And from what I understand, you could tell me more out in California, she may have used some of those same ways to get to the top as the people that accused Bill Cosby.
Yeah, she pretty much dated a married man, Willie Brown. For those of you who don't know, Willie Brown was the Speaker of the Assembly for 40. Well, he served in the Assembly for 40 years. He was a Speaker for like 20. Very, very powerful man.
Yeah,
political genius. I mean, his politics aside, the man was a political genius, but was also a married man, dating a young Kamala Harris. Let's just say that was the beginning of her political career. She would eventually get appointed to jobs that far exceeded her experience. But in pay-wise, she got treated really well, and she would then eventually, with his support, run for and win the district attorney's office there in the city of San Francisco. I will say this in her defense. That's how her political career started. I don't think that's necessarily how it advanced. I just think, lying about her job and making herself look better than she actually was.
Right.
That's how she advanced.
Correct.
But, I think you're somewhat correct in how she got started.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep, that's what we hear on the East Coast, but you're out there on the West. You get a little bit tighter information. So,
she's a part of that wave she was a part of that wave of district attorneys and then eventually attorneys general who aren't interested in the law, that aren't interested in addressing crime. They're more interested in going after the law-abiding, in particular law-abiding gun owners, business owners. More interested in environmentalism and wokeness than they are in actually protecting and serving.
Yeah.
And you now see that's an epidemic across the country now. And they call it now being smart on crime. Yeah, no, being smart on crime means decriminalize crime and set the criminals out on the streets. We're seeing now the results of being, quote unquote, smart on crime. Thank you, Kamala.
Yeah, how's that working out for you?
It's working out great for her, not so much for the rest of us.
Yeah, right. Exactly right. Exactly.
All right, Mikey, let's move on to our parting shot. This is going to be kind of a twofer. All right. Because we've heard about this, we've talked about it. The hammer thrower who decided that she did not want to represent or to honor the flag. She decided to turn her back on the flag. Well, this was her in 2016. As you can see, she didn't have any problem with the American flag when she was trying to make the Olympic team back in 2016.
Yeah, I think this is June of 15 at when she was competing to get into the 2016 Olympics. So, so this is again no problem representing her country then when she was trying to get what she wanted out of the Olympic Committee. The difference I would say, Craig, is look at the timeline. This is during when President Obama is in office. She seemed to have no problem being an American then. Once President Trump came into office, though, it appears as though she can no longer, stand for the pledge or honor the flag. And I think that's what gets me with, and I would call these people, one-star people or small-minded people. Mm-hmm. Craig, this country and our flag are something different than politics. and they mean something absolutely different. If you cannot separate your dislike for a president for the love of your country, then you should probably look at leaving, breathing. It's just we don't need you spawning children either.
No, exactly. Well, it's funny. I was talking with someone the other day, and they were talking about how online. They were talking about how bad a time it is, and that nothing's improved since the 1960s, and how racist America is. And I said, well, first of all, that's idiotic.
Yeah.
But then I decided to point out. I said, well, you know what? How about these words from Barack Obama at a graduation speech he gave in 2016? And he basically said that, this is the best time ever to be a young, educated, brilliant, black person in this country. In other words, this is the best time that we've ever had, and things have moved. So things are we are in such a good place right now. And I'm like, it's kind of funny though how even Barack Obama has changed his mind and his wokeness about where we are in these United States.
Yeah.
And once again, they're only doing it because it's popular. That's it. That's quite frankly the only reason. It's all this wokeness that quite frankly, once again, is teaching young people that you are not the captain of your fate. You are not the master of your soul. Ultimately, somebody out there in government is the master of your fate, and they're the ones who are going to determine whether or not you have the opportunity to be successful. And I just think that's setting kids up for failure.
Oh, it is, absolutely. And listen, and Obama could rewrite history and say whatever he wants now. He drove racism in this country and race relations back 30, 40 years to the 60s, right. I'm not saying everything was 100% perfect, but we were damn near at 99,
Right.
And now look what we got. We've got riots in the streets, BLM, right. Antifa, and all that nonsense going on because he wants to get out there and stir the pot. Him and Michelle and Eric Holder and everybody else that wants to get out there and drive race relations backwards.
Well, exactly. In other words, we're going to tear down the 99 in order to try and get that last 1%.
Yep.
And that's really where it is. And once again, not putting people in a position where they can actually empower themselves. Which kind of leads us to the second part of our parting shot. Here you have young Calvin, who's basically talking about how basically the grade is affecting his self-esteem, and the teacher made the point. Well, maybe you should work harder, and you'll get better grades, and then you don't have to worry about your self-esteem. And then basically, because you deny his victimhood, once again, that is now additionally hurting his self-esteem. And that's the generation that we have right now. That's what is being put forward, and people are being taught that is okay, that's kind of the way it is. And it is beyond infuriating because you're literally setting these kids up for failure. You're setting young people up for failure.
Yeah, absolutely right. This is the entitled, I need to have what I want. You need to give it to me now. I shouldn't have to work that hard for it. And if you don't let me have it, then you're going to make me the victim. And I tell people all the time, quit playing the role of the victim and get out there and start playing the role of the winner.
Well, exactly. Because once again, if you keep asking people to make your circumstances easier, it's never going to happen. Here's the key, folks. You get better. You get better in order to overcome your circumstances. That's how everything worth having has ever been attained. Just saying.
I forgot these. I had to reach back over my shoulder, all unprofessional like.
Well, by the way, I'm guessing that what you want to do is you want to make sure you want to plug our sponsors real quick. Make sure that folks know who's paying the bills.
We do, and folks, we apologize for not being with you yesterday. We had some technical difficulties on both coasts, so we got it worked out and gave you a little bonus extra today. So, but this weekend, I believe this is the last Feedback Friday with these two items. So we'll see more. It just might be different. So what we have is a 100% T7075 aluminum receiver, upper receiver for America's rifle. And then we have an 80% paperweight right here that you and a little of your mechanical skills or perhaps YouTube videos could make it into something else. So that'll be during Feedback Friday tomorrow. And then again, if you can guess where Craig is now and where I was earlier in the week, that we're closest to the pin, we may go. that perhaps there might be a couple of bonus T-shirts or stickers or patches or something like that coming at you. We'll figure it out. We'll
definitely figure it out. But folks, it's always a challenge when you start to do these things remotely. When you do them where both of you are remote,
Yeah. Yeah.
it is additionally challenging. But you folks have been fun. You guys have been really, really great and understanding, and we very much appreciate that. Please remember to visit our sponsors, the folks over at Grid Defense and over at Gorilla Machining. Let the folks over at the California Republican Assembly know that you watch the rundown, and just let them know, because that's how we continue our sponsorships, because they know that you guys know who to hang out with, and that's Mikey and me.
That's it. They know that you know that we all know about them and us together.
Exactly. And that's why you make sure to like and share, and subscribe, and encourage your folks to do the same.
Like, share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe.
All right. See you tomorrow on Freed Back Friday.
Woo, see you then.
See you then.